Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Teardrops Liquid Language of the Heart. Our next challenge is called Uncover My Heart. And on this challenge, we're actually going to be taking the heart healing journey. And as you can see by so many of our advertisement, excuse me, I got tongue tied there, that we're about to go on a journey to talk about your heart. And how many of us are aware that our heart stands in a need of a healing? And the reason why we could be struggling so much and having so many obstacles and going through so many stumbling blocks in our heart is really our heart that's crying out that, hey, heal me, heal me. I need your healing. And as I've said so many times, when we begin to look at the heart, it is the center in the core of our being. It's where our emotions are intellect and everything they live there. So whenever we do anything in life, whatever we connect with in life, it really begins in our heart. And we have to take a survey of our heart because that is one area of us that we totally forget about. We neglect. We don't even look at it. And I was reading some articles lately, and it was talking about the reason why so many heart conditions are totally outrageous, and people walk around for years with critical heart conditions is because we ignore to tend to our heart. The heart is the core where our love is. The heart is the core where our emotion is. We can't do anything in life without the heart. As a matter of fact, if our heart stops beating right now, I don't want to be near anybody where the heart starts beating because that's a time, that's a test to let us know that something is going on. So,
Mhm.
on tonight, we're going to be talking and we're going to be getting to tell a little bit about this next challenge that we're going to be doing and the journey that we're actually going to be taking. We're going to give you some ideals of what you can do really to begin this journey with us and how, some things that you need to set aside, some, tools that you can utilize as we go through the next 5 Tuesdays of Uncover My Heart. I have with me Donna Smith here today, who she's going to help talk about some of the things that we can do on this challenge. And she actually has a day as I get ready to go through and tell you some of the different challenges and the days that we're going to have that she's going to be talking about a condition of the heart too. So before we even get into talking about some things, I just want to let everybody know that this challenge actually began today, which is Tuesday, November the 15th, 2022, and it's actually going to end December the 20th, which is the last Tuesday of 2022 for us for this particular challenge. So on next week, which happens to be Tuesday, November the 22nd, I believe, I'm going to be interviewing two other people, and we're going to talk about hard hearts and a fearful heart. So on next week, we're going to have Nadine Hintley who's going to come and she's going to talk about how your heart is hard and some of the things spiritually that you go through when your heart is hard. And she might bring in some of the natural things too. Knowing Nadine, I'm not sure where we will be traveling there, but I'm sure by the time she's finished, you're going to be checking your heart to make sure that your heart is in good condition and it's no longer hard. We also have a fearful heart. And Sister Teresa English is going to be talking about when your heart is fearful and some of the things that happens when your heart is fearful, because when you're fearful, you're really scared. And when you're scared to step out and you're scared to do things because your heart is really when things begin to do. So, on next week, we're going to actually be talking about some things like that. And the following week, we're going to be going into a broken heart and we're going to be going into a fearful heart again. So, if your heart is broken, if you have a hard heart, if you have a fearful heart, we're saying to you, come along on this journey to learn how to uncover your heart. The scripture that we're actually using as our text is really Psalms 139, and we're looking at the 23rd and the through the 24th verse. And we're going to talk, and I'm going to read the message version of it. It says, investigate my life, oh God. Find out everything about me. It goes on to say, then I want you to cross examine and test me. Get a clear picture of what I am all about. See for yourself, rather, I've done anything wrong, then guide me on a road to eternal life. So, what we're saying to God, God, do some investigation on my heart. Do what you need to do. Take the searchlight and search it in my heart. It says, find out what I'm all about. Look into that heart with that searchlight and begin to see what's in my heart. What makes me tick? What makes me think? What makes me love? What makes me act? It says, and then when you find out these facts, God, what I want you to do is bring these facts to the forefront and then cross examine me about these facts. Ask about my hard heartedness. Ask me, why am I still fearful in my heart? Ask me, why am I still brokenhearted? Ask me, why my heart is still hopeless? Why am I walking around in this day and time and my heart is numb? I don't feel anything because I've experienced in so much pain, so much frustration in this life. Now I'm just numb. I'm just existing. So it's asking me, it says, cross-examine me, God. Give me some questions to ask about myself so that I will know the state of my heart. I will know what, God, I need to come back to you and ask you to heal me, ask you to help me. And then it says, give me a clear picture. Allow me to see what happens and what's going on in my heart. Like how we try to take our picture all the time. Well, we're basically saying, God, hey, do a picture of me. Let me see it after it's developed so I can look at and see the things in my heart that's infested, the things in my heart that I really need to look at, the things in my heart that I need to get right. Because sometimes we're doing a lot of things, but we're still have a messed up heart. It's still dirty on the inside. It's still nasty on the inside. And the reason why we act the way that we act is because our heart is all messed up. It still got crud on the outside of it. It
Mhm.
still hasn't been clean. It hasn't been washed. But yet we're acting because that's what we're doing. And some of us, we're not even getting the Emmy Award on our actions. We're just basically a performer in a play and that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. So we're saying, God, show us a picture of our heart. And then after you show pictures of our heart, show us the areas in our heart that's wrong. God, how can I get my heart from being not broken? How can you mend it and put it back together again? Because you told me that you are the mender of the broken heart. So, God, help me to mend it. Help me to get it back together because my view is not a good view. I don't see people as the way I ought to. I see people as trees. I see people as instruments. So, God, clear out my heart so that I can have a clear view of what's going on. And then when my heart is clear, I'm liberated. I have peace. I'm able to walk around and have a genuine smile, not the smile that we paint on our face. I'm able to do these all kinds of things, God, because you cleared me on the inside. I want to challenge everybody that's on this phone, on this line tonight, before we actually get into the process, before we enter 2023. Before God soars us into the position of purpose that He has predestinated for our life, we got to get it together. We got to say, God, examine me. Because every dirt spot that I have on the inside of me, that Tide didn't get out, that bleach didn't blend it out to make it white, God, I'm asking you to wash me. God, I'm asking you to cleanse me. I'm asking you to create in me a clean heart. That I can walk up right before you, that God, when you call me, I can come running. When you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it expediently. God, clean me so that I can have ears and I'm able to hear. When we were younger, our parents used to always take that washcloth to get into our ears, and they would get it real small so they can really get into our ears and get that wax out of our ears so that we would be able to hear them because they would start sometimes when we didn't answer them was because we had wax in our ears and we just didn't hear them calling us. God is pretty much saying, I want to meet your needs. I want to answer you. I want to do what I need to do, but I need to clean your heart. I need you to come in and I need to do what I need to do. I need to have open heart surgery on you. And when I have open heart surgery, I need to clean out everything in there. that's not supposed to be in there so that I'm able to see what's in your heart and what I need to do while I'm in surgery. That's what God is really saying to us. And that's our challenge. We want to get it right before 2023. I don't know about you, but I want God to propel me to purpose. We're living in a day and time that people need the people of God. And if we can't direct them by being connected who Jesus Christ is, who can? If we're called for such a time as this and have a purpose in our life, and our purpose is to see Jesus one day, and we cannot share the gospel with someone else because there's something on the inside of us that's stopping us. We need to get it clean. We needed to get it moved. We need to go in and say, God, do what you need to do in me because here I am surrendering my all to you. So, in the next couple of Tuesdays, we're going to have these interviews and these talks on Tuesdays. And then when we're done, we want you to take all the information that you have gathered from, Uncover My Heart Challenge on Tuesday and begin to look at it. Help it to govern you on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so that when you come back the next Tuesday, you're going to get more instructions, more information. We're going to do more deposits into the heart of you so that you're able to make the withdrawal at the appointed time. So we're going to go into some ways that we can really help with this challenge, and this is when Donna comes in. She's going to talk about just a way as we begin to go into the challenge of how we can begin to look at our heart with an anticipation about God. This is where we are, but this is where we want to be. So Donna, you can go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I guess when I really thought about this and Pat started asking us about examining our heart, I thought about, that old song of Fill My Cup, Lord, Let It Overflow. And it was ironic that same day I was doing a bike ride and the gentleman during the class started talking about what is your cup filled with? And it was so ironic that these two things were happening at the same time. So one of my thoughts were for me, I literally drew two pictures of cups. And um, Pat has started asking us, well, who are you? And what's in your heart? And what are you feeling? And, at first when she said it, I didn't know. I really couldn't tell you. But then as I had these two empty cups and I just drew them, I started to be able to put one cup where this is what I thought was actually in my heart and where I wanted my heart to be. And it's interesting that at first I thought that, oh, I had love in my heart, right? But I think that there was so many other things in my heart. Love was on the brim. So with all the other gunk that Pat is talking about being in there, it would flow out. And the only thing that left were the other things. And I started asking myself some questions. Um, what is in my heart, but also what are the strongholds in my life that have a strong hold on me? And those were the things that went into my cup on the left side. And you could do this figuratively or you can do it in real life. For me, I need the bigger the better. I need to have something in my face that I'm putting a post-it note on so that when I feel something negative, it's not just negative in your mind. It's not just negative in your mouth. It's negative in your heart. And you don't even know how to pray to get it out if you don't recognize it for yourself. You got to know that it's there. You got to ask God to take it out. Um, and so as I was going through, my cup started, I started to be able to put things in there that I could actually hope, ask God to move out. So when he starts putting the love in, when he starts putting his fruits of the spirit in, they'll stay in there. That when he starts to put the joy of the Lord in there, when he
Yes.
starts to put his strength in there, it'll stay in there. So when I start going through difficult times, I actually have the strength to stand because otherwise I can't do it. So you could do it on your journal, if you have a daily journal, make the left side what's in your heart now, and the right side what you want your heart to be, and start filling them in. I also I connect scriptures to the things that I want my heart to be, so that I can literally speak those things back to myself, so that as I'm telling myself that um, I'm strong in the Lord, I can also say, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I can also say that I got the whole armor of God. I can say that, having done all to stand, I can stand anyway. Therefore, stand. But because you gotta keep reinforcing it. And we've been having several ministers come to the church, and they're constantly reinforcing the fact that you gotta speak God's word back to yourself. You have to keep doing it, because that's the thing that'll keep the enemy at bay. And just when I think that he's got me and I start speaking that word, I have the lyrics to songs in my journal, because sometimes I just need to sing a song. Sometimes I can't even sing a song. I just open the page to my journal, and I'm like, Lord, like, this is what I need from you right now. Like, please give it to me, because I can't even get it out. One day I put down, I need to hear from you. I need a word from you. When I can't hear from you, what am I going to do? Want to you more each day. Show me your perfect way. There is no other way that I can live. Because if this stuff is still in our heart, if we haven't completely washed it out, I thought about the dishwasher.
That's
You
good.
put dishes in the dishwasher, and they got all this stuff in it. And if you don't put the soap and the sparkling stuff and all that stuff down in the little cup, when you take it back out, it's still in there. But you want it to go in there in that hot water and the soap and the suds to get it all out. So when it comes out, it's clean, it's clear. So for me, the cup was a good thing. If you're more visual and you want to literally cut out a heart from poster board and put two hearts up, one with the heart that it is now. And I even thought in my mind, I had drew a heart, and I probably should have brought it with me, and I crinkled it up, because I
Yeah.
felt like that's how my heart is now, is crinkled up. And so it has all this stuff in it. But this, I want it emptied out and clean, and God to start filling it. And I don't know if you can see it, but in this cup over here, love is going all the way around the side. At first, it
Wow.
was just a drop in it, right? But if God's love surrounds the whole cup, all the stuff that he puts in there behind it is going to stay in that cup, because God is not a man that he shall lie. So if he tells you that the joy of the Lord is my strength, he's going to give us that joy, and it's going to stay in the cup. If he tells us that he's going to give us patience and kindness and peace and goodness and meekness, it's going to stay in the cup. But we got to make sure we line it, that we insulate our cup with all the things that are coming directly from his word. So as we travel through these next several weeks and we're learning about our hearts, we'll learn what's in it. I mean, just some of the things that I know are in my cup. Um, Disappointment is a huge stronghold for me. Anxiety, loneliness, unrest. When you can't sleep at night, God promised us that we would sleep in perfect peace. So it's something wrong. Now I gotta pray. What is it? What is it that's keeping me up? Mistrust, abuse, hurt. And we gotta be real with
Yes.
ourselves. We
Yes.
have to admit that this is our issue, that this is what we're feeling, that this is our true hurt. And once we're real with ourselves, then we can ask for forgiveness from God, and then ask for his grace and mercy, so that we can get this stuff out, and that he can replace it. Because in the Bible it also talks about, if he sweeps it out and it's empty, the devil tries to get back in there
Yes.
too, in a
Yes.
different way. So we want God to fill it, you know, fill my cup, let it overflow, let it overflow with you. So that's the process, how I got started with it, that I had shared with Patty. And I hope it is helpful to you, to be able to give you a way to dip your toe in, and use the mirror challenge as a way to get started. Look yourself in the mirror and start to ask yourself what you see, and how do you feel when you look at yourself. Because when you do, even if it's through tears, some of those things are what's in your heart, and it's getting in the way. And you can be honest with yourself, because that's how it started with me. Because I didn't see fearfully and wonderfully made. I say it to myself. It's one of the things I read every day now, and some days I see it and some days I don't. I'm a work in progress. And we all are. So we have to, make sure that God is that we're opening up saying, God, I want you to look at my heart. I want you to be that thorn in my heart, not the cares of this world, but for your love and for yearning after you.
Amen. That was awesome. We also have Nadine on the line. Hey, sis. So she's actually one of the speakers that's going to, I'm going to. So she's actually one of the speakers next week that's going to be coming. And I believe you're talking about an angry, no, you're talking about hard hardness.
Yeah.
So on tonight, we're basically talking about what is a process that we can help everybody to get started at looking at their heart, so that when you guys get ready, when I get ready to interview you guys, and you're dropping these nuggets down on us, they can have a tool to say, hey, this is what my heart looks like, but this is what I want my heart to be.
Yes.
Mm.
So, God, what is it in my heart that I need to clean out so that it can be clear? Because if we're asking God to do some investigation, when people go to investigate, they go to look for things.
Ooh.
And they not going to stop until they find it. So if it's under your bed, they're going to be looking under your bed, in your mattress, wherever they need to look
You
to
please
get
no.
the, to get what they need to get. They're going to be looking these places because you want a cleansing, God. So God, wherever it is, we're saying, God, find it. Find these things. And then when you find them, cross-examine us. Ask us about these things.
Mhm.
Why is it existing if I'm your God? Because
Mhm.
if it's in your heart and you're moved by what's in your heart, now that thing has become your God. So do you say that the God that you serve has no power?
And you got to get to the source of things too, because sometimes when you find these things that are in your heart, you'll find that sometimes there's people that you have to get rid of,
Yes.
because we don't want to look underneath our own skirts. We don't want to look underneath our own beds. So when God finds it, He's going to keep nudging you and pushing you and nudging you and pinching you and poking you, because you got to realize what it is you have to walk away from. And sometimes it's difficult, but we got to look at the people that we're around, the places that we go, the things that we do. As Pastor has said to us, what's in our eye gates, what's in our ear gates, and really think about it. And sometimes it's like, you'll be in the midst of doing something and be like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Mm.
Like click, not talking to you no more,
Mhm,
So
mhm,
you gotta
mhm.
make, those kind of decisions sometimes.
All right, Sting, jump in, jump in. So we just doing a
Well,
precursor to what everyone's
okay.
gonna get.
Well, I was just going to jump in when you were asking the question, what's a stronghold in your heart? And I was searching my heart. Um, because, and sis, I don't know the other sister's name, but
Donna.
about the mirror challenge and looking Donna. Um, One thing that's been in my heart, confession 101, I'm gonna just confess, has been my feelings about church.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's good,
And
sis.
I'm gonna be honest, I was born and raised in the church, and my family was in the church, and so I have a lot of issues around church.
Wow.
Um, I love the Lord with all my heart. I want to serve Him. I think I try to serve Him in my daily walk,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been struggling around the structure of church and not even just like feeling like we've drifted away from what we should be doing. Like the saints of God crowding the altar so much, the sinners can't even get to the altar. And just feeling like I want my life to be what I see the needs are in real life. And how do I integrate that and be a part of the structure and religiosity of church? And so that is the stronghold, I confess. I mean, I'm leery to confess it because I know we are all Christians and we should want to walk into I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. And I am, but there's a part of me that really struggles with that stronghold.
You know something? I'm glad you was real with that, because there are a lot of people that has that challenge. You're not the only one, and that's what one of the reasons why led me to do this, because a lot of people actually sit in the church and have a problem with the church.
Mm,
So, and then it takes a lot for a person to really be real.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why people can't really see God in the church. Because number
Mhm.
one, there's a whole slew of people who really don't want to be there. So now I'm going to act and I'm going to perform because I really don't understand where church went to. And then we're looking at a building and not realizing that the church actually lies within inside of us.
Mhm.
Christ is in us.
Mhm.
So it really should be the way we talk, the way we walk, who we are, what we believe in. It should be the 9 yards. But
Mhm.
we have gotten to the point until we have moved so far from God until we don't listen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We don't hear God. So that when it's time to come to church, we're messed up because we haven't prepared to enter in to the house of God. And when
Mhm.
you enter into the house of God, what is your stance? How are you? So you got to have a as my sister-in-law Karen Jones says, you have to have a premeditated praise before you come into the house of God. Because if
Mhm.
you're coming in the house of God and your mind not right, your heart not right, then you're right. The altar is so filled up with people of God until the sinners don't have an opportunity to get up there. Because we done bombarded everywhere and now they're in the aisleway trying to get past your mess that you really should have gotten cleaned up. Because as
Mhm.
people to God, we should be coming in with the mindset, God, now, God, I'm coming to serve you. I'm
Yeah.
coming to be a blessing to whoever's there. I want to be blessed, but God, I want to be an instrument that's used for your glory in the house of God. God, I want the people who don't know you to enter into the house. And when they do enter into it, I want them to enter into a presence,
Mhm. Mhm.
into an ambiance that is filled with your glory, so
Mhm.
that whatever is on the inside of them, it can be dismissed, it can
Mhm.
be demolished, it can
Mhm.
be pulled up, it can be regurgitated out.
But we
That
also have
kind of
to be
stuff.
careful too, because some of the things that I talked about happened in the church. Like some of the things that I said were in my cup. Some of the abuse, some of the hurt, some of the mistrust um, has been in the church. And I think you hit a key point of like there's people are acting this way, but the church should be so clear in us when we're not in the building. It's not about the building. It
Mhm.
should be evident no matter where we go that people should seek us out because they should see that Christ inside of us. But I think sometimes we wait until we get in the building to
Yes.
do all of those things. And so we're kind of dependent on the building. It's kind of like, oh, I could get into the building and woo side when we should be woo sign and feeling free and loved, whether we're in the building or not. And if we
Yeah.
can't get with other saints of God and be able to joyfully lift up and feel good, then we have to examine ourselves absolutely, but we also need to examine the practices that are in the church.
I
Amen.
agree, and we have to get to the point as believers of Christ. We have to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point until we need to be healed,
Yeah.
because we're human and life happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of life, it just doesn't happen to people who are sinners, and it just doesn't
Yeah.
happen. It happens to people all
Mm-hmm.
together. And sometimes, because we are just people, we can't deal with life happening. And that's what happens because we can't deal with life that happens. What happens is we allow those things to be hidden in our heart instead of then coming up. So the old saying that hurt people, and they say, I read some article or whatever, and they were saying, well, really, that's not true. That is true. Because what happens is whatever is on you, you display it on the outside of you. So whatever's inside of you is going to come out of you. So if you're really hurt on the inside of you, you might hide it for, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, but eventually you're going to have an action that's going to show and display what's actually on the inside of you. And if
Mm-hmm.
we don't believe that God is a healer, but we speak it,
Mm-hmm.
but really do we believe it? And those are
Yeah.
some things that we have to examine our heart, because we have a spiritual heart disease, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because no one can really see my heart. So we think, but our actions do declare.
Mm.
that there's something wrong on the inside of us. So yes, there's many people who used to be in church that are not in church because of the hurt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The church has wounded them. And I won't even say the church, people, because the church is
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
People are the ones that come into the building to create an atmosphere. Because
Mm.
if there's nobody in the building, there is nothing in there to create except the
Mhm.
wretches, the roaches, or whatever. But there's nothing else in there to really create. So it's when people who are broken, who are messed up, we're people. Things happen
Mhm.
to us. But the difference that the world looks at is that they may happen to you, but because you are talking about the Christ that you have, who's able to do everything but fail, is he failing with you because you're not healed?
Hmm. And that's I think that's the challenge, because, and I appreciate the conversation, because I definitely have said to myself recently, you got to find a church. You got to get back into a church home, because I understand we should assemble ourselves together, be around believers. I want to be of service, but inevitably I start feeling that sense of, you know, this is a lot of ritual and a lot of, and where, not judging other people, but just the structure and the rituals and stuff. And like, I just want to love God, love people, serve God, serve people. And sometimes I get caught up in all of the stuff,
Mhm.
and I don't want the stuff. And so I'm trying to find how to make, because it's imperfect. To your point, Patty, like, it's imperfect. People aren't perfect, so the church is imperfect too. So how do I find that space for myself where I can? I mean, I admire you, Patty, because you've been in the church and you never left the church, no matter what has gone on in your life. And I don't feel like I've left the church, but I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been to church in a minute. I can't even remember. I think Easter, and I used to go to church every Sunday.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. But
So
you know something to what you're saying, Dean? It's so true because I can attest we grew up in church together. So, so that was just our life. And most of the friends we had was each other because we were in church.
yep.
So even when
Mhm.
we traveled to district choir and we went here and we went there and we did all the activity, but we were still with each other. But what
Mhm.
happens when we begin to grow sometimes and life begins to happen, we forget that life happens.
Mhm.
And we begin to look at it and say that it is the church fault because this happens. And then sometimes you're in church, but church is not in you.
Absolutely.
When you're younger, we were just made to go into church. We was made to sing on the
Mhm.
choir. We were doing this
Mhm.
whether you want to or not. And I,
Mhm.
I understand the significance of why it needs to be done because you're training people. You're bringing people up in it. So I get that because in the natural, when you join any corporation, you get trained for a period of time. 90 days, you don't make the 90 days cut off. And sometimes now it's 180 days. We pretty much know if we don't learn what's going to happen because there's an accountability and a responsibility that we have. The body of Christ, sometimes we miss the accountability and a responsibility that we have. And because we don't fulfill it in all nature, sometimes it's a domino effect. It begins to wear on us. And then sometimes we grow and we begin to see things in a different way. And because we don't understand that life also expands, there's growth that comes from day to day. There is no day that's the same. So tomorrow we'll grow different than what we were for today. But we don't embrace that idea or that ideology. We don't embrace it. So what we think is that when we expand and we begin to see things in a different vernacular, now people or the people in the church begin to say, "Well, you don't love God no more." Yes, I do love God, but I could be questioning some things. And in the natural, we question everything, and nobody seems to think there's nothing wrong with that. But when we come in the church, now there's something wrong. And I think a lot of times we have to embrace newness. Doesn't mean that God changes because
Mhm.
he's the same today, for tomorrow, and forevermore. So he does not change. But the principle of how we go out and catch fish, or how we explain God, could be a little different from person to person because we all don't learn the same.
Mhm.
And I think when we embrace that concept, and our job is to give Christ to someone, present him to you. Hey, says, I need you to know who this Jesus is that I love and that I serve. We're planting seeds into people. And the Bible talks about some plant, somebody else can come by and water the very seed that we planted. But ultimately, God does the increase. When we talk about increase, we're talking about growth. When you actually look at an actual plant that's planted into the soil, when the rain comes, it comes and it pours on top of that seed that was planted in. Now, growth is increase that comes up. So when it starts coming up, that's growth. That's increase because now it's no longer a seed. A seed now is a plant that's coming up. And we have to take that same mechanism and we really have to put it to people. If you're down and you're out, it's my job, if I'm a little stronger than you, to go back. Hey, I can't do this today because I have to go back and get my sister because she's drowning. So let me walk with you until you're at a point in the water that you can float. But I got to get you there. I can't leave you there and say, oh, they messed up. We all been messed up if we really tell the truth. We all been, and we all have gotten to the point of
Mhm.
now, hey God, what's going on? This church thing is not working for me. But God, you're working for me. So help me, guide me. But we don't see things in that realm. But that's pretty much it. And that's one reason why I've been and trying to do these challenges, really to get people to start thinking, what is in my heart? What has blocked me from growth? Growth in God and growth just naturally. Because if we hide things in our heart, bitterness, brokenness, hatred,
Mhm.
angry, we're stunning our own growth. We're
Mhm.
not stunning the growth of the person who did it to us because now they have gone about their business, probably have gained more, probably have did something else, but yet and still, we're still at the same place. And why are we there? Because we refuse to allow that to be taken away from us, to be emptied out, because we want to hold on and stay in that place. But you remain in that place. And that's the part of mentally we don't get. You remain with that struggle. You remain with that pain. And now that you're remaining with that pain, now I got body pain. I got mind pain. I got everything. All because of that thing that maybe I should let go. And I'm not saying it's easy, it's a process.
Yeah.
And it's an everyday, every minute process. And nobody never really arrives until we get to see Christ. We come out of things, but we have to be careful because that same thing that happened had us on a stronghold is able to go back and get us sometimes if we're not careful. So those are the things that I want people to begin to look at. Not judging anybody because I personally think
Mhm.
that nobody can really judge anybody
Mhm. No.
because we all have something. Or as they used to say, you have the skeletons in your skeleton closet. And if you ever go open the door, so many things will fall out until it probably will knock you down because of the bones that are in there. It's
Mhm.
really true because they're hitting in the part of our heart. One thing when I was talking about being something being under the bed, there's things that can come from under the bed that will amaze you. That you
Mhm.
found, that you thought you lost, that now you find, that was really good for you, but now you've been looking for years, and you be like, "This was under my bed." You do, or money, because I'm a good one. That money that had dropped out or whatever, and you don't feel like getting out of the bed because you in there comfortable, and you be like, "I'm gonna get the money tomorrow." Tomorrow morning come and you forget it's there. And then when you finally go vacuum it or do whatever under the bed, you'll be like, oh my God, this is here. Shoes,
Mhm.
socks, other things that we
Slippers.
do because we use our under our bed as a storage area.
Yes.
Let's be real, we do. You
Our
know,
closets, that's in your
yes.
pocket. You find your money down in your pocket. Yep.
Mhm.
You
Things
know,
Mhm.
fell in the bottom of the closet. So,
Mhm.
we have to
Mhm.
think about it. And so God is saying, so when I look at your heart, what am I going to find?
Mm.
What was lost in there that you covered it up with layers and layers and layers and layers of things?
Mhm.
And now I can't find it, but I'm coming to remove the layers. I'm
mhm.
coming to take everything off because I need that thing. I need that root because that root has created the layers. That root has allowed different things. In a tree, sometimes you got branches to go here, 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 and then and everywhere. Those branches have been laid upon that seed.
Mhm.
And now that seed hasn't adequately grown because it's been blocked,
Mm-hmm.
it's been drowned. It's still
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been blocked.
Mm-hmm.
When the wintertime comes and leaves begin to shed off of a tree, it never was shedded because it's down so low. And so it's just there. So those are some of the things that we're looking for this challenge. Dean, you brought up a good thing. I'm sure people are going to be sitting there like, wow, I get it. You would be surprised of the people when you actually talk to them that feels the same way about church.
Yeah.
And what we forget about that the church is really in us. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually going to the building. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we put too much focus on the actual building. One thing the pandemic did for us is taught us how to do church in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It taught us that the building was not necessary the church in itself, but the church lies within that. That's a place that we gather together in worship to encourage our brothers and sisters, to tell testimonies to help other people to overcome. It's a binding place that we come together to bond one with another because we have the same purpose. We should have the same purpose and the same goal inside of us. But now we're asking God, God, help to make us better in church because God uses people in order to accomplish his will. And we all have talents. Dean, you have outstanding talents that the
Thank
body of Christ needs. So we want to be careful. And I'm not saying the church is the only place that can use your talents. And you know me, so you pretty much know exactly what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But the church can benefit from the giftings that you have, the knowledge that you have.
So I want to ask you all then, how do I get past this? Because I've really tried and I know I need to move past it. I'm not going to dominate the conversation with that question, but it is something that I desire and
But
that
I,
I'm
wa-
trying to
but
get.
I thank you for bringing it up. I do, Nadine. This is my first time meeting you, but I really am enjoying the conversation because it really hits to my core. And when I first started thinking about the heart, like this puts a different spin on it to me. I only thought about, it's the heart, emotional things, my feelings, you know, that kind of stuff, my mental. Never thinking about in terms of other types of things that might be in my heart. Um, so that really opens that door. And I don't know, my first thoughts when you said, how do we get past it? I guess together, hopefully, as sisters, and even with everyone else, just praying and fasting. I never really. I grew up in the church too. Um, my grandfather was a bishop in the church, so it was just always in us. But it wasn't really in me like that. What I didn't get benefits from fasting. I didn't that I knew of. I wasn't feeling it. But to go on a fast and get on the other side of it and feel that some things were answered, I think that, if we do that together, praying one for another, then we will start to come out with answers with the things that, truly are really bothering and affecting us. Like we got to join together. We got to join.
Thank
That's true. Also, you begin with identifying, which is what you did tonight. So, the trueness about anyone who has an addiction, the first thing they have to identify that there is a problem. And once you identify there is a problem,
Mhm.
now you can be helped. So, a lot of times you have identified that, and it's your desire to get back to that place because it's rooted in you. And no
you.
matter where we go, it's like train up the child in the way they should go. No matter where you go, what's in you is going to come out of you.
Hmm.
But because of things that has happened in life, it has just detoured you. And sometimes when you begin to realize that you detour, you got to go back and say, God, now I'm detoured, but now how can I go back and get on the right road? Or as what is it series in some says, U-turn, U-turn, please make the U-turn. You have the U-turn. Next, turn right, turn right, turn right. That's that's pretty much what it is.
Mhm.
So now we know how to help you, because what's going to happen is actually the last Tuesday when we talk about heart resuscitation, I'm going to have everybody who present to come in on the line. So we're all going to be up here, and that gives us a great opportunity to end things, because then we'll have a time that we can ask questions, because we're going to be resuscitating the heart right there. But getting back to you, you know what's in here. You know what it takes. And sometimes it's our expectation too. Are we placing a heavy expectation on something? Because when you become disappointed, you're disappointed because something didn't fulfill your expectation.
Hmm.
So that's something too. You know, some of the things that happens in church or whatever, it's just like an organization that you have certain policy and procedures that you have to follow in order to deal with an organization. In church there are certain rules and everything you have to find out because it's a church, so we all understand that. So sometimes we have to come with a mindset that, God, I'm looking for you. So there's some things that I may have to adore. They might take up 5 offerings. We might think it might be a little more simplified if we just do one and ask everybody just to give what they want to do in one offering. But there's a way to suggest what your suggestion is to people so that people can begin to think about things. You know, with the church, the biggest thing that I want to help is that there's a lot of people that are hurting because of things that have happened. So they fall away. So my desire that I'm asking for, God, how can I go back to get some of these people, to let them know that their relationship should be with you? And like you said, people in the church are imperfect, and it will never be perfect as long as there's people in the church like us. We're imperfect. But God, help my desire. Show me where I need to be that can fulfill me, that can meet the need that I have on the inside of me. Because every church is not for every person. But God, show me. Show me if it's me and you need to curtail me in a different way, that I can get there and see you in the midst of it. And then, God, when I see you, present myself to you to say, God, here I am. Now, help me to be in your house, to upbuild your kingdom in your house and present myself in a way that, God, whatever I have, I'm surrendering to you to be a help to somebody else.
Mhm.
I received that because one of the things you said that really struck me is in corporations and organizations, there are policies and procedures. And you know what? We follow them. We
Yeah.
follow them whether we agree with them or not. Like we know, like if say at or your job, they're like on Mondays, everybody has to wear a black hat. I might not like black, but I'm gonna put that black hat on.
Exactly.
And I think
Mhm.
that I want to be able to translate that same kind of thought to how I see church. Like everything in church is not going to align with me, but there's policies, there's procedures, there's things, and I shouldn't see that differently than accepting it in other in the world. I guess is lack of a better word. So I do receive that, and I also receive what Donna said, and that I really need to work on another heart trait, rebelliousness. Now, I would, if you ask me, I would not say I'm a rebellious person. I am a rebel, but I was, I'm a rebel. But when I was listening to you, I was like, oh, you know what? I might be being rebellious because I don't really want to do. You see what I'm saying? You understand
Yes, yes. Yes. And that's, but in this whole conversation, we're all finding out things about us. And it goes back to the conditions of our heart. And sometimes when you hear what someone else says and you identify with it, or is really struggling as something appalling, as something in your heart, now it's like, oh, is that really me?
what
So this is what I'm really dealing with. This is what I'm working with right now. So I really got to do something with me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that we do in life, really, it begins with us. How we receive what people say when we do get hurt. And that's something that I had to really deal with for myself. because you can be hurt, and I have been hurt to my core, to my soul. But then I had to realize, God, really, what is hurt? And I'm the type of person, when you throw a word out there, I got to do word search on it. I got to find out, to take it to its bottom point to find out. And then when I start to think, my expectation of person, place, or thing was at this level. But did I ever consider that whatever I was expecting from that person, place, or things, did they have the ability to be able to fulfill it? Because now I'm hurt, but they may not have had the ability to be able to fulfill what it is I wanted.
Mhm.
So I judged them, or I held them accountable, because I didn't judge them to a certain degree. I guess I did. But I held them accountable for
Mhm.
skills that they did not even have. And as a result, you didn't meet my expectation. Now I'm hurt. But what part did I play in that? Because did I have the foresight to really look in, to examine if that person, place, or thing had the expectations that I needed to be met? Those are some of the things. And then in different seasons in life, we have different expectations. We are different people. We have different needs. Our needs are not the same throughout our entire life.
Mhm.
Because if you ever looked at a situation or relationship that you've been in with whomever, wherever you were at that particular time, they were meeting that particular need. But now that's not your same need. You got to be careful of that too, because we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving.
Mhm.
So some things we got to do a self check on us. And then if it's in fact you're in a situation that you can't come out, that's not meeting up to your expectation, now you have to go back and rethink of your position in that situation until it's your time to come out. We those things that we got to deal with, but you can't deal with it until you become honest with yourself and honest with the heart that's the seat of your emotions, your intellect, your thought pattern. We got to be honest and say, hey, this is what I was thinking at this time. This is what I was feeling at this particular time. This is how things were at this time. But this is where I'm at now. So, how do I regulate that thing to get it here now? That's how we have to look at it. And that's how we have to begin to think of it. And this challenge, of course, it came to me first. So I've been really dealing with me in the moment of this before I can present it to anybody else. And it is some things that you gotta deal with. And you gotta deal. The thing that really got to me when it talked about investigate, cross-examine me, find out why that thing is there. Where
Mhm.
is the root of that thing? How was it deposited there? And then how did it get hidden in the midst of it? Because now I got to uncover. I got to go in there. I got to get a shovel. I got to dig up all of this dirt and everything to get to that thing, to find out what it is. And then if it's something that's not going to take me to the next level in my life, I got to say, God, now help me to get rid of it.
Amen.
Yes.
So that's where we are. So, ladies, this was good for me. I don't know about for you, but this has been good for me. So
Yeah.
next week we're going to actually, which is actually week number 2. It's November the 22nd, and we're going to be coming back again with Nadine, and she's going to be talking about the hard heart. I guess sis, we done got you started. So all week you gonna
Well,
have that
bless
shovel
it.
out, huh, with that thing. So we're going to be talking about the hard heart. We're going to also have Teresa English that's coming, and she's going to be talking about the fearful heart. So you two young ladies next week are going to be on the line, and we're really going to start really getting into some things. And what I want everybody else who's actually listening to us, because we're about to really close this out, get your pencil together, get your paper together, because I believe in my heart that these ladies are coming power packed, with things that we need to talk. But most of all, I like it because we're going to be real. We're going to just uncover some things that people have in their heart and their minds that they're not able to talk about. But hey, you need somebody to start the conversation. You need somebody to be a rebel and just put it out there. Hey, this is what I feel. This is what it is. Now deal with it because it's out in the open. So that's the kind of stuff that I really want us to begin to talk about. So I'm inviting everybody to come back to Uncover Your Heart Challenge. It is the heart healing journey that we're actually going on. And it's a journey that we're asking God to investigate us, to cross examine us with the things that He comes up, to find out if the things inside of us, what are they? Are they good or are they bad? And if they're bad, God, take it away from us. If it's good, show us how to allow it to continue to be watered. If it's by your word, if it's by prayer, is it by consecration? Whatever it's by, God, position us in a place that we can receive so that that thing can come into fruition. Any last things before we actually leave, ladies?
Just a word of gratitude, because I really appreciate the lack of judgment. I think for me to say that was hard, because I'm like, I don't want people to think I don't love God. I don't want people to think I don't love church, or that I'm backslidden. And I
Mhm.
just received from you, Donna, and you, Patty, so much support, and I just want to thank you.
Oh, sis, we love you. We here showing love.
Yes.
And we careful of the words that we speak out of our mouth because we want to create an atmosphere of love, comfort, and peace.
And God said, be careful for nothing. So we got to put it out there. He said, ask and we shall receive. So we're going to put it out there. We're going to pray that we get the fulfillment of our heart so that we can get back started, like you said, going out into the community and giving back to his people. So, Nadine, it was a blessing meeting you. I am so happy. And we are going to enjoy ourselves as we grow.
Yes, thank you.
So I want to thank everybody who has listened to us. I see all the comments that have come in, and I'm really appreciative to everyone who took out the opportunity in these last 60 minutes to come and hear about Uncover Your Heart. Next week really begins the interview process that we're going to go through, and I invite you as well as challenge you to come along with us on this heart healing journey. I don't know about everyone else, but I am looking for a shift in us individually. We can no longer stay in the place that we are. We can no longer serve God in the conditions that we are. But God is looking for us to be pure and we want to be honest so that we can reach that person out there who knows nothing about Christ, but yet is experiencing some of the same things that we're experiencing. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look to see everyone next week, 11/22, 2022, November the 22nd, 2022, at 7:30. Uncover Your Heart Challenge. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.